Hello everybody, this video we're taking apart Spawn. So what you're going to need is hot water. I'm using boiling water from the teapot, a bowl, and a jeweler plier. The jeweler pliers I'm going to use to take apart the chainmail. This is real chainmail, and all you have to do is pry it slightly open so you could wiggle the two chainmails out. He has two anchor points in the front and the back of his belt. It's fairly easy to do, you don't need a lot of pressure, and I recommend jeweler pliers, that way you don't nick or damage the chainmail it comes with. You can also do it with the front of the cape, but I decided to skip this part because it's a little fiddly and I could easily cover it with airbrush putty and not get any paint on the chainmail for the cape. So maneuver the cape around, get that last chainmail, pull it around, and voila, it's free. Now I like to use Ziploc bags to store everything to the side until I need them. So that's how I organize my bits. Now the only glued applications on this figure is his cape to the torso. So he's glued in the two front shoulders, and he's also glued in the back with a peg attachment. So here my water is boiling. I'm pouring it into my safe treated bowl. You could use glass or plastic, or here I'm using a stainless steel bowl. I wouldn't use boiling water right out the kettle or your pot. I would use 2 to 5 minutes. Just let it cool down. And the process is really quick. You only need to warm up your plastic a little bit. So I would dip him in there for like 30 seconds and then just straightly take him out. If you overheat your plastic, you could ruin the structural integrity of it. As you could see here, his leg popped right out. So a little warmth and all his joints and attachments come right out. I was actually having a little too fun and ease with this step. I ended up mixing up his parts, and I was like, oh no, I had to reverse engineer this to put him together again. But luckily for me, McFarlane Toys actually labels their parts. They have L for left and R for right. So I was able to easily separate them again and reorganize them again. I redipped the torso and the cape into the bowl because it was actually the disassembly step that actually gave me the hardest time. So I saw in another video that a guy was actually able to pull the peg out in the back. I couldn't manage to make it work on my end, so I ended up slicing that part anyway. But in the long run, it worked because I decided to magnetize the cape to this torso. So doing magnetic work, I needed that plastic to give me a paste to glue the magnets. So I ended up drilling the back and the front for that anyway. I'll show you my magnetization process at a later date. Here, I organized all the joints. I'm showing the L for left knee. And I'm reheating the cape again, and one right shoulder that was giving me a bit of problem. I think the plastic cooled down to the point where I couldn't easily pull it. So I was just reheating that one shoulder and reheating the cape again. So fishing out that shoulder, pop. Yep. So now those are all his limbs disassembled, and now my full attention and focus is to the torso and cape. So here I'm slicing the two front shoulders, easy enough to do. And here I'm trying to get that peg in one motion, but it just didn't work out for me, so I ended up slicing it off. And there you go, there's the torso. You could fiddle with the cape, get it back into shape if you reheated it a little too much, but it's easy to do. The plastic is very forgiving. And you just let it cool down and harden again. and I ended up organizing all my bits with Ziploc bags. Once again, I labeled them left, right, leg, arm, etc., etc. So now all that's left is to prime and paint. Hope this helps. See you soon.